lot of money and a very good job. I also tried all types of pleasures. I drank all types of wines and went out with so many women. I even went to so many countries, and despite all this, I feel constantly bored and tired of all these pleasures. I went to so many psychologists after thinking about my suicide many times, searching for another life that isn't boring. Don't you feel this way? Adam then said to him, not at all. I'm always happy, and I will tell you as to how you can fix this problem. But first, I want you to answer me. If you want to satisfy your eyes, then what do you do? The doctor answered, I look at a beautiful woman or an amazing secretary. Adam then asked him again, and if you want to satisfy your ears and nose, then what do you do? The doctor replied, I listen to music with my ears and smell a perfume with my nose. Adam then said, okay, if you wanted to satisfy your eyes, why wouldn't you listen to quiet music? The doctor was surprised by the question and answered, because this is a method that can only satisfy the ears. Adam then said, and if you wanted to satisfy your nose, why wouldn't you watch a beautiful scenery? The doctor replied, this method can only satisfy the eyes, not the nose. Adam then said, okay, now I have gotten what I wanted from you. Let me ask you this. Do you feel this boredom and crampness in your eyes or your ears or your nose? The doctor said, I feel it in my heart. Adam then said, the heart also has its own method to be satisfied just like the others. When you listen to music, drink wine, and go out with women, you aren't satisfying your heart but all the other organs. If you wish to satisfy your heart, you need to get close to the creator of this universe, and with knowing and getting close to him, you will know comfort, peace, and happiness. And Islam defines God the best out of all other religions, that He is the one that all the creations need, while He needs no one. He is the one who accumulates all the imperfections. He doesn't give birth nor He is born, and nothing is like Him. Try to know and befriending Him, and you will rest and become happy. Allah has created humans for one purpose only, which is to obey Allah and to worship Him, and whoever uses his life for anything other than that, they will lose and suffer. And that is according to what Allah has said, and whoso will return away from my admonition, he shall have a wrecked life. Think a little about why is committing suicide very common in your country despite all the porn and debauchery, and the answer will be clear. It is because this wretched life follows you as you come and go. The doctor nodded his head and said to Adam, give me a book about Islam and pray for me, and I will become a Muslim. After 3 days, the doctor came happily after announcing his Islam, and Adam had two happy occasions, one for the doctor becoming a Muslim and the second for being cured without any diagnosis done. And he became aware that his illness was only so that the doctor ends up becoming a Muslim.
ذلكم الله ربكم لا إله إلا هو خالق كل شيء فاعبدوه وهو على كل شيء وكيل لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير قد جاءكم بصائر من ربكم فمن أبصر فلنفسه ومن عمي فعليها وما أنا عليكم بحفيظ.
There was a man who was over 60 years old, and after his son got married, who was working as a preacher in a mosque. He tried many times to bring his father to live with him, especially after he got poor eyesight. But the father refused to leave his house as he lived in the most beautiful moments there. So the son brought a servant to help him. One day the father called his son to come immediately, although the son at the same time was doing an interview as a religious religious program presenter on a satellite channel, but he apologized to the channel owner and preferred to go for his father. When the channel owner was surprised that he will leave and he will miss such a chance, he smiled and reminded him of the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. A parent is the best of the gates of Jannah, so if you wish, keep to the gate or lose it. Then the son went to his father and found him very angry and sad, so he asked him about the reason why he is sad, and he said to him, I've put all my money in an envelope and searched of it a lot, but I didn't find it, and you are my sight after my sight got poor. The son smiled and said, don't worry, we will find it, Allah willing. The son starts searching of the envelope, and he knows that his father puts all the important things in a brightly colored box which his dead mother was always used to keep his jewelry inside it. Then he opened the box. He didn't find the money. He rather found a letter from the servant telling his father that he took the money because his wife will have a surgery and he will return the money in installments, and asked him to forgive him and accept his apologies. And after the son read the letter, he didn't tell his father about it. He rather suggested to go out together to a restaurant and have lunch. The son told him to wait him for a minute. Then he went to withdraw the same amount from his balance which was in the envelope. Then he came back to his father and returned home, and behind his father he put the money in the envelope and said to his father smiling, I found your money. The father was very happy and invoked Allah for his son. Then the son left the house and went to the servant and told him that he paid the money to his father and he doesn't want the money from him. Then he went to his family. In the next day, the son was surprised by the channel owner telling him that the committee watched a lot of your speeches in the videos, so they chose him to be a religious program presenter. But the main reason for choosing him in his righteousness to his father, so the son thanked Allah a lot and said, all that is thanks to Allah and because of my father's invocation to me.
ولا تشتروا بعهد الله ثمنا قليلا إنما عند الله هو خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون ما عندكم ينفد وما عند الله باق ولنجزين الذين صبروا أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون.
After the migration and the increase of the Muslims' number, the need for water increased. The well of Ruma was the main source of water in Medina. But this well was owned by an exploited Jewish who was selling the water by the drop. So when Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, knew the story, he went to the Jewish and told him that he wants to buy the well, but the Jewish refused. So Uthman offered to buy from him the half well, and it will be a day for him and a day for the Jewish to sell from it. So the Jewish agreed on the basis that Uthman is a smart merchant and he would raise the price of water so that the Jewish earnings would increase, but the opposite happened. So the Jewish wondered and searched for the reasons, so he found that Uthman made it for Allah's sake. So the people were taking their need from water for free in his day. So the people were drinking in the day of Uthman and don't go to the well in the day of Jewish. So he went to the Uthman to sell him the well for 20,000 dirhams. Then Uthman made the well as an endowment in the sake of Allah. After a while, the palm trees began growing up and around the well. So the Ottoman state took care of them and they grew up. So the Ottoman state took care of them till they grew up. After that, the Saudi state came and took care of them till the number of palm trees became 1,550. So the state represented in the Ministry of Agriculture became came selling the dates in the market, and the half income goes for the orphans and poor people, and the other half is put it in the bank by the name Uthman ibn Affan, and it is managed by the Ministry of Endowments. The money grew, and a piece of land beside of the Prophet's mosque was bought, which was officially registered in the municipality by the name of Uthman ibn Affan. Then they started to build a big hotel which is now in its final stages, and it is expected to reach its earnings to almost 50 million Saudi Riyal yearly. Half of it and the other half is put it in the bank account of Uthman ibn Affan. It's a trade with Allah started and continued for 14 centuries. How much the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, in the heaven even Prophet had a companion, and my companion in the heaven is Uthman.
مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل حبة أنبتت 7 سنابل في كل سنبلة 100 حبة والله يضاعف لمن يشاء والله واسع عليم. الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله ثم لا يتبعون ما أنفقوا منا ولا أذى لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا هم يحزنون.
A Saudi man from the people of Makkah prayed once in a great mosque of Makkah, and after the prayer he wanted to give charity to one of the cleaners, so he went to one of them who was an Indian 50 years old man, then gave him some money and said, "Please take this." So the Indian man looked at the Saudi man and said, "Thank you, brother, I don't need the charity." Then he told him to look at his wallet, so he found many Visa cards and MasterCards. So the Saudi man was so surprised and said, "Who are you? And why are you working here?" The Indian man said, "Thanks to Allah, I have number of hotels around India, and since I announced my Islam, I came here from time to time asking for a work visa with the company specialized in cleaning the great mosque of Makkah. So I allocate 6 months to work day and night at serving the Kaaba for nothing, just asking the Almighty to accept my work sincerely for his honorable countenance." The Saudi man was surprised and thought it was a dream and got more curious, so he asked one of the old workers about the Indian man. So the worker said, "He is a millionaire. He comes to serve the Kaaba from time to time for 6 months. Also, he gives charity to all the workers." The Saudi man went to the Indian man and asked him about the reason why he entered Islam. So he told him, "My father died when I was a kid and my uncles oppressed me and didn't give me my inheritance. So I decided to take revenge on them and whoever stood by them. Then I traveled to the capital and worked in a hotel till I made my own wealth and built a hotel. Then I planned and decided to come back to take revenge, and on that day while I was sitting in my hotel talking to my workers before I traveled, I heard a Muslim guy telling his friend who wanted to make revenge from someone, 'I remind you of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when his family expelled him from his country and fought him. When Allah empowered him over them, he didn't treat them as they treated him. He rather forgave them all. Brother, forgiveness is a sign of generosity, and Allah said in the Quran, but if you pardon, overlook, and forgive their faults, Allah is truly forgiving, the most merciful. Moreover, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, God increases the honor of him who forgives another, and no one will be humble himself for God's sakes without God exalting him. Then I went to that guy and asked him to tell me more about Allah and his Prophet, peace be upon him, and in less than an hour I went to perform ablution and said the 2 declarations of faith. Also, I forgave who oppressed me. Also, I decided to spend on the poor ones, and then I found my heart, which was filled with hatred and malice, become calm and assured. From that day, I thank Allah for his guidance and his generosity, also for being here serving the Kaaba.
وعباد الرحمن الذين يمشون على الأرض هونا وإذا خاطبهم الجاهلون قالوا سلاما والذين يبيتون لربهم سجدا وقياما يقولون ربنا اصرف عنا عذاب جهنم إن عذابها كان غراما إنها مستقرا ومقاما والذين إذا أنفقوا لم يسرفوا ولم يقتروا وكان بين ذلك قواما والذين لا يدعون مع الله إلها لا يقتلون النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق ولا يزنون ومن يفعل ذلك يضل يوم القيامة ويخلد فيه مهانا إلا من تاب وآمن وعمل عملا صالحا فأولئك يبدل الله سيئاتهم حسنات وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا.
A family consists of 5 members, a man, a wife, the wife's mother, and 2 children, a 6-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl. The family live outside the capital. One day, the wife got very sick, so she went to the hospital and they did the examinations and tests on her, and it was found that she suffers from a serious disease. The doctor said to the father, "Your wife must have an operation in no time." The father and his wife came back to home and he was very sad because he doesn't have the money for the operation. Then he remembered that he has some friends in the capital and decided to go and borrow money from them for the operation since she was very ill. Women from the neighborhood came to the mother, and when they came out, they are invoking Allah to cure her, and they were saying, "We ask Allah to cure you and provide you with wellness." The 2 children, hearing the invocation of the woman for their mother and hearing the name of Allah, so they asked their grandmother, "Who is Allah and where is He? And if you ask Allah, He will hear us and cure our mother." The grandmother was surprised by the children's questions and said, "Allah is the one who created us and ensures us. He is in the heaven, hears our invocation and answers our wishes, especially from you, little kids, because He loves you very much." The grandmother's words stuck in their mind. In the next morning, they went to school, and when they came out, they went to a store and bought an envelope to send a message. At home, the son wrote a letter, says, "In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, O Allah, come and cure our ill mother, because our father is late and our mother is very ill. Our grandmother told us that you are the most merciful, ever gracious, and you love children. Don't disappoint us. We will wait the ambulance to take our mother up the street." And they wrote at the end of the letter, "This is a message from so and so to Allah," and he wrote his name and his sister's name. Then they put the letter inside an envelope and didn't write an address, and the son went to put the letter in the mailbox at the end of the street. The mailman came and took the messages from the mailbox to the office, and while he was sorting the messages, one of the workers was surprised by a message without an address. So he opened it and found some flowers, and when he began to read, he cried. And whoever read the message from the worker cries till the manager came and read the message and cried also, and he was very surprised by the innocence of 2 children and their believing in Allah. Their entire salaries to the mother, and the manager reached the children's address and got in an ambulance and went to that address. Whereas the 2 children were waiting Allah's ambulance up the street in the pouring rain. When the ambulance came, the 2 children saw it. They ran and shouted with joy and happiness, "Allah came! Thank you, Allah!" The driver and the manager were crying while they are looking at the 2 children, and they were greeting the ambulance and repeating the words, "Allah came." Then the ambulance took the mother to the hospital and the operation succeeded. When the father was late in coming back back, the children asked about him. So the grandmother said to them, "Your father forgot Allah and went to his friend, so he was late too much. But you both went to Allah, so Allah answered you as He Almighty said." Or ask them, who responds to the cry to Him, relieving their affliction.
قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير تولج الليل في النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب.
Noha is a beautiful and a smart girl. She came back with her rich family to their country after she graduated from a European country. When she returned, her cousin, who only has his university degree and a great ambition, proposed to her, so she agreed, although her family refused. Before the marriage, the cousin's conditioned that she will not have children except after 5 years and give all her time to help him with his project, which will make them a millionaire. Noha agreed, and she didn't say anything except the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He who is not trustworthy has no faith, and he who does not keep his covenant has no religion. So she helped her husband with money, effort and knowledge, until her husband became a millionaire and he opened the largest trading company. 6 years later, Noha, surprised that her husband betrayed her and married his secretary, so she grieved so much and decided to use her intelligence to take revenge on his cousin, who divorced her, which costs millions. And that is because his secretary wants the house. He gave her just 3 days to get out of the house, and she spent these 3 days in a hotel. Noha spent the first day packing her belongings in the boxes and got a competent company to move all her belongings from the house, and the third day she stayed at the house and had a shrimp and a caviar for dinner. When she finished eating, she went to all the rooms and put the leftover shrimp and caviar in the curtain rods, and she cleaned the kitchen and left. When the couple arrived, they didn't feel anything in the first days, and slowly the house began to smell and stink. So the couple started sweeping the floors and venting the house and checking the holes to search for any dead rodents. Moreover, they called competent for insecticidal with gas, but they replaced the previous wool carpets. But all this was in vain, and after a while, people stopped them and the servants left the couple decided to move to another place as they couldn't bear the smell anymore. A month later, though they have the price anyone who could buy this house with such a stinky smell, the husband had to borrow a large sum from the bank to buy a new house. Then he surprised by Noha calling him and telling him that she misses her old house and she is ready to waive her rights after the divorce to have the house. So he was so glad, believing that Noha doesn't know about the smell of the house. He agreed on the price, which was 10% of its real value, and a condition that the same day Noha agreed, and a few hours later the house stands and a silly smell on their face while watching the company moving the furniture from the old house to their new house, including the curtain rods. So the stinky smell and the heavy loss always accompanies him because she sacrificed for him.
ونضع الموازين القسط ليوم القيامة فلا تظلم نفس إن كان مثقال حبة